Hello and welcome back to GameStar TV, where we're into Game 2 of Nomia vs Crimson. It is the Week 3 playoffs of the HGC ANZ qualifiers, and Nomia picked up Game 1. It was on Infernal Shrines, and with a very dominating fashion, just really put the screws into Crimson, and they just were not able to deal with a lot of the pressure coming out, and were just not able to deal essentially with Penta's Garrosh, who really dictated a lot of the plays in that game. But now we're into Game 2. It is Towers of Doom. Crimson are going to be having first pick yet again, and their first pick is first ban, I should say, is going to be the Genji. In the previous game, their first ban was actually the Stukov, so a bit of a switch in banning strategy. It is a very strong pick for the map, and likewise on the side of Nomia, they're not wanting to lock down that support pool as we saw in the last one. We saw the Stukov into the Tassadar ban. Now we're seeing the Genji into the Chromie bans, and this is going to have Crimson actually pick up the Garrosh for themselves as the first pick. They saw what Penta and Nomia were able to do it for themselves in the previous game, and they are thinking, we do not want to be dealing with that anymore. We will just pick it up for ourselves and see how you like it. And now we have to see what Nomad try and respond with, because of the way the bans have gone, there are things like Tassadar, there's the Stukov that was banned in the previous one, which is still up. There's a potential for that there's a double support. There was a triple support, actually, I believe it was in Korea. It did not end up going too well, but the double support is still an option for Nomia. With something like the Tassadar Uther or even Tassadar Oriole, sure, some of those heroes have taken a bit of a nerf on this current patch. We're on to the live one, where Oriole no longer has that cooldown reduction at 7. Uther's base armor gain is reduced, I think, back to 15 when he heals, but he's actually going to be the Grey Mana and the Malfurion. So Malfurion was actually a last pick on the side of Crimson in the previous draft, and this is actually very highly prioritized for Nomia in this one, just wanting to take the shadow off his Malfurion, who he's shown to be a very proficient Malfurion over the past couple of seasons and has been a very strong support in the region. It's just now Nomia are trying to force him onto something else. Actually, there we go. The Stukov is going to be the pickup alongside that Li Ming. So already they have some good tools to work with. The Li Ming is actually pretty good alongside that Garrosh, primarily as a takeaway almost, because we've been seeing one of the tools to deal with Garrosh quite well. Li Ming is fairly strong. Garrosh can get kited quite easily, and Li Ming can do that quite well. So taking that one away from Nomia is a very good pickup, and also will do quite well into the Malfurion. Will put a lot of pressure down onto those backlines with all of that damage from afar. Alright, now we're getting into the second round of bans. We have to see what else Nomia are thinking Crimson are wanting to go towards, or what they just do not want to be dealing with. The Garrosh, the thing is, Crimson have got a lot of their roles, the primary roles already locked up, but they are going to be going for that other ban on the frontliner, and that Arthas. That is essentially what they banned in the same position in the last draft, not wanting to deal with that one. And Crimson, they've seen Nomi's propensity to picking up those Vikings from time to time. Usually it's been on things like Curse Hollow, or I think I saw Dragonshire, or even like Warhead Junction, but those maps are not going to be played right now, and likewise with the Vikings. They're not going to be played as they are taken off the board. Towers of Doom is one of those maps where you can get a lot of value out of those Vikings, just playing that global macro game while the rest of your team just pretty much just barrels down a lane. And Crimson do not want to be dealing with that in any way, shape or form. And now Nomia with their next two picks, they see the Garrosh on the other side is like, you want to bring us to you? Well, we'll bring you to us. They have a hook of their own with the Stitches, and they have that very tried and true combo of the Stitches into the Malfurion with the Entangling Roots. If the Nomi boys are able to secure that combo really well, and we've seen it throughout the year on different teams what it's like when it works well, what it looks like when it doesn't. We've run the gambit of the Stitch's mouth combo, and we'll have to see how Nomia do play around it. They pick up the Zeratul as well. It's a bit of a throwback pick for Nomia. I remember all the way back to last year, Nomia was, well, at least Fat94 was very renowned, even when it came to the international stage. For that Zeratul, he was doing some putting on some very strong performances and really put the fear of God into some of the international teams. So I'm really hoping that it will be him picking this one up. Would be a great throwback to see. We'll just have to wait and see once we get into the game. But now we're on to the last couple of picks for Crimson and what they want to try and shore up their lineup with. There is still the Dahaka, which we saw in the previous match. Them picking up. It would suit into their composition quite well. They already have a reasonable front liner in the Garrosh, and having that little bit of extra global play might be what they need. But then again, it will be quite hard with that Zeratul just playing around the map as well. But it is going to be the Tychus and also the Leoric, so they want to be clearing those lanes rather quickly, as Leoric will be coming in to help out with that. And also those Entombs will be very strong in locking down, or at least isolating something like the Malfurion or the Greymane, or even the Zagara, which is going to be that last pick for Nomia. So now that we're starting to see, or now that we see both teams finalize and as they stack up against each other, Nomia, they want to play the pick and prod kind of gameplay. And if they're not going to be, it seems like they not necessarily want to be going for the straight up 5v5 team fights, because looking on the other side, Crimson, if we do get into just some straight up team fighting, they have a very solid lineup. They have very good damage across it with the Leoric, just draining that front line. And the Tychus and Li Ming, they do a quite considerable amount of damage, and it will be very hard for the Nomi boys to actually stick around in these fights. So it will be up to Nomi to try and avoid as much as possible. But Crimson, if they can get the fights in their favor, they can really start dictating the pace of the game. But we'll just have to wait and see as we are getting onto, I guess, the Nexus. Where are we? There we go. On the blue side, we have Nomia. We have Fat94 on his tried and true Zeratul. We have Vanilla on Malfurion. Ryu is on Zagara. Penta is on Stitches. And John is on Greymane. Whereas on the red side, we have Crimson. We have Ultivian on Tychus. The Shadow is on Stukov. Jesmez is on Leoric. Azure is on Li Ming. And Laika is on Garrosh. It's me. Anyway. Level 1. We have to be very careful on the side of Crimson because of that hook. Don't want to go too far forward and get caught out from it. They don't necessarily need to do the usual all fire barrel down mid and hope to get a good fight, as we do have Penta getting locked down and he's going to get thrown into the team, and he doesn't have the healing or sustainability to help out enough, and that is going to be the first kill going over to the side of Crimson. It looks like they may almost get another one. Didn't have the Wrecking Ball to bring John in as well, but that's a nice little pickup early on for the side of Crimson. But Nomia have already split off to the other lanes, and well, looking at their composition, they're not necessarily going to be there for the big team fights, as Vanilla is going to get caught up as well, and he is going to be the next victim, as this is Garrosh. We saw it in the first game, Nomia getting a lot of value out of the pick, and we're seeing it yet again here, this time for Crimson. And already, he's only been in for a week, a couple of weeks, maybe a month. I guess it has to be at least 2 weeks for him to be tournament viable or tournament legal, but already he's had such an impact, and he's so hard to deal with. And if you can't get away from those groundbreaker Wrecking Ball combos, as we see right there, and Penta getting locked down yet again, as the healing is trying to come in from the Malfurion, but he's just getting shredded down by Ultivian on this Tigers. He does manage to get out of there as he tries to get that fadeaway hook, but doesn't actually land it. And we do have Azure coming down to try and apply a bit more pressure as well, as we get the first round of altars coming up here. We haven't really checked in on the top side where Ryu has been putting the screws into Jesmez. As per usual, the Leoric kind of lives and dies in the lane by his Drain Hope. If he hits it, he can stick around and be a real nuisance. As John gets flipped into the team, does not get the helping hand, and he is going to die. Yet another kill going over to Crimson. They will be able to secure this next, this altar. And that is the first two going over to the side of Crimson. They're in a pretty good position. They have about a half-level lead, and a lot of it is down to those great picks coming in, set up by Leica on this Garrosh. And Sawyer in the first game was doing so much work, and it looks like it's going to happen yet again. Vanilla trying to get away, gets hit with the Wrecking Ball, and he is in the team. And with the Shadow and Altivian there doing so much work, there's absolutely nothing that this Malfurion can do. And I've been seeing Penta try and get some of those helping hand hooks to try and just bail his team out of trouble, but it's just not nearly enough. And already we're seeing this combo being used to such great effect on the side of Crimson, but it's still a long game, and Nomia are by no means out of it just yet, because we get to the later parts of the game. Once we hit level 10, we could very well see Ryu just control the map essentially. If he does go for the nice network, he'll be able to split push and be a real nuisance, in a real thorn in the side of Crimson, as they do get a nice gank onto Azure. He doesn't have enough. He doesn't have a second teleport. He is going to die, and that is a nice pick with Fat94 just picking him off in that rotation, and the little additional damage coming out from Ryu really helping out there. So nice little pick up there in return. That is their first kill, but to be honest, that's actually helping out a fair bit. Is helping out equalize the experience. Both hit level 7 at the same time, and with this next altar spawning on the bottom side, Nomia are already in position to try and grab this, but we do have enough time for the rest of Crimson to come down and contest it, but have to be very careful. We've been seeing Garrosh just drag members out of obscurity, as Leica is going to move forward. Doesn't land that Groundbreaker, so has to be very careful. Does not have... Well, there's a Wrecking Ball, as Altivian's doing so much damage. I do believe he does have the bigger they are, so they do actually get the hook down onto Altivian, taking a lot of damage. It's just not enough healing coming out from that Stukov. He is going to fall, and that's a lot of the pressure coming, or just being extinguished on the side. Oh, the nice Wrecking Ball throwing that Grey Man into the tower. That is going to be a trade 1-for-1. It's actually another 1-for-2, as the Stukov falls as well, and the altar goes over to Nomia. So yeah, they did manage to get that kill onto the Greyman, but in the end it cost them their lives, and that is going to be even more pressure on the side of Nomia. So looking at where the map is now, we're just equalized on the core damage, both at 32 apiece. We're starting to see Nomia pick up some of these good fights, and we saw the early power of that Garrosh and how hard it was for Nomia to deal with that. But as we're going to get later and later into this game, as actually do get a bit of an invade, as Leica is going to move forward, as they do get the lockdown onto John. Fat94 is there to try and help out, but does not have any tools to help him out. And then that is going to be yet another kill. It's a nice, very successful invade coming out from Crimson. And Nomia have to be a little bit careful. They have to try and safely deal with these sappers while also being careful not to get caught out. As the Wrecking Ball does go in onto Penta, he does have a lot of health regenerating, but it's not nearly enough with Altivian doing so much upfront damage. With that, the bigger they are talent at level 4 will absolutely shred those targets, and the follow-up damage coming out from Azure is enough to finish them off. And very well done there from Crimson, as level 10 has been picked up. A nice Twilight Dreamer is going to hit 4 members, as Fat is going to come in. The all 4 members into the Void Prison. The follow-up is there. The Garrosh is going to be the first one to fall down. The Flailing Swipe is trying to help out the rest of the team. The Shadow taking a lot of damage. He's going to be the next target, but he does manage to give up his life so the rest of the team may escape. It is going to be a 2-for-0. It seemed like Crimson were in a good position to push in. They had their heroics and they were 4 strong, but they just got caught out with the counter engage. That Twilight Dream locking down, at least knocking him down to very low and put him in a rather precarious position. And that Void Prism coming in from Fat94, locking down the rest of the members really just secured the deal. And now we have a bit of an XP advantage coming for Nomia. They are going to be invading and grabbing their opposing Sapper camp. They will look to grab the altar for themselves, as Peta is going to get thrown in, but there's not much follow-up there. It is just the Li Ming doesn't have that upfront percentage damage, as like he's going to be the next target. He's taking a lot of damage, but he does manage to get out of there with that additional healing coming out from that Stukov. But the damage has been done. They managed to take that altar. They are going to back away. And throughout all of that, Ryu, he took down that top bell tower and is now working on that middle one as the Vanilla is going to get caught out. He, I believe, got hit with the ground breaker into the wrecking ball, into the rest of his team, and that is going to be yet another kill. But still, as I said, the damage has been done, and Nomia, they are not here to play those straight up team fights. We have the map play coming out from their lineup. They had the Zagara just controlling the entirety of that top side of the map, and there's absolutely no response coming out from Crimson. They're just trying to play just anywhere where that Zagara is not. But we do have a rather strong push coming out for Crimson on the bottom side. They're even going to be using the Thor for this. The Sappers are going to go and do a lot of damage to that core as the Void Prison locks down too, as the rest of the team is going to start just jumping in, as here comes, a nice flying stripe to interrupt the Twilight Dream. That could have been really dangerous, but they're still dropping very low. The Garrosh is going to be the first one to go down. A great hook onto Azure. They managed to finish him off, as a nice ice block does prevent him from dying, and now the rest of Crimson are falling. Ultimate is going to be the last one left. Yes, he does have the Thor, but it's just not nearly enough, and that is going to be a 4-0 in favor of Nomia, as that middle bell tower is going to be taken down. Ryu doing so much work, just absorbing, or just controlling the map, while the rest of the team is just taking these fights in like just heroic trades. In the end, Nomia are just coming out on top. These Void Prisons are doing so much work. Yes, the Twilight Dream follow-up was interrupted, but the damage is already done. Garrosh is, when they're not getting the jump, as we do have Ryu, it looks like he's going to get caught out. He is going to be stuck. He has nothing, and he's actually going to fall. So nice little pick up there. They will allow the rest of Crimson to take down and retake this bell tower, but look everywhere else on the map. Vanilla does take the bottom Sapper camp, or they take down the bottom Sapper camp, they take the bottom bell tower, and they are forcing Crimson to be reactive. And now we have the response. Liger trying to take down Penta. They do flip him into the death zone. He is going to get taken down as stepping a little bit too close to the fire, and he got burned. And we've been seeing that all night. All of this series is just being Garrosh is catching out members left, right, and center, and just going a little bit too far forward. And the rest of the team and the follow-up has been very strong from both sides when they've been having that Garrosh by their side. And now we do have enough time and enough room for Crimson to take down their bell tower and just re-establish some position. But Jesme is taking so much damage. Fat 94, he goes through and will finish him off. It looked like he had no more tools to go back in, but the joke is on Jesmez, and that is going to be yet another kill. They're trying to catch up to the Zagara, but she is going to get back into her nice worm. She is going to be back on the other side of the map, and wow, they are playing the map so very well. Yeah, they're losing out in some of these fights. They're losing members here and there, but still, they keep on applying the pressure. They keep Crimson on the back foot, not allowing them to get any kind of foothold in this game. They take down and re-establish this control on the bottom side of the map. And now we're into another round of 3 altars. We do have all of Crimson on the top side. They have the room to control both of these top side altars, but we do have the rest of Nomia starting to make their way up towards them. Fat 94 is in a reasonable position to try and get yet another incredible Void Prism, but have to wait and see how it goes. We have no one working on the red side, although as we do now, we do have the Tigers working on it, as Fat 94 is going to start working in, does a little bit of, I'd say a little bit, but they take him down to half. There's so much damage. There's a nice Wallace challenge. He's going to lock down 2 members, as that lurking arm is going to help secure the kill on that Zeratul. They trade 1 for 1, but Jesmez is going in on that Leoric. They do end up finishing off the Greyman, as Azure is going to start resetting for days. They pick up yet another 2 kills, and that is going to be a really good position for them to pick up this altar. But still, Zagar doing so much work, has already taken control of that bottom bell tower, and I guess the rest of the team helped out with that. So in the end, it's only going to be 3 shots in favor of Crimson. They did grab their own, but for the 5 shots that Nomia got on the bottom side, it was only 6 for the 2 altars that they were able to secure on the top side. So in the end, I believe Nomia are going to be okay with that. Yeah, they did lose that fight, and they're going to be giving up a bit of position, but still, they are in complete control of this game. They have control of the map and are still forcing Crimson to be on the back foot, forcing them to be reactive on this map when you really want to be applying pressure. You want to be the proactive one, especially when you have something like Garrosh. Trying to play from behind is always going to be a difficult task, as we now have Crimson trying to re-establish control on the bottom side. But this, now that all of the members of Crimson are showing on the bottom side, Nomia are going to be taking down this boss through an extra 4 shots at the Crimson Keep, at the Crimson Core, sorry. And now it's going to be very hard, very precarious position for Crimson to get back into this. Yes, they do re-secure their bell tower on the bottom side, but they lose their one on the top side, and be very careful with how they play this. Yes, that Cyber Camp is only 50 seconds away, but they have to be very wary of that. Should we get some extended engages around these next 2 altars, that's going to go up there, throw some extra shots at a core, and it could very well be the defining factor once we get into this late part of the game. We do have the 2 altars reasonably close together, and now we have to see whether or not they do get a good engage. Penta taking a lot of damage. They do get the taunt down on him, taking so much damage. The Void Press is just not there in time, and that is going to be the first kill of the fight. They do take down the Stitches, and it seems that Nomia are just going to have to evacuate. They are just going to back away. They are not going to try and contest this. They know that they don't have the manpower now, as Greymane gets caught out. And so it is going to be a nice couple of pickups there for Crimson. They are starting to work towards the top side of the map. Ryu is going to pretty much sacrifice his life to take down this bell tower. He does not actually get it. Just the slightest bit of health. It's on 174 HP, but it's not going to be enough. And in the end, they are going to be maintaining 3 shots. You're sure it's not a hell of a lot, but it is all going to add up over time. 20 shots down against 6. Nomia still have a lot of room to work with. They have a lot of wriggle room, but as we get later and later into this game, every one of those pickoffs is going to get more and more impactful as they are starting to work towards the top side. They're trying to get a pickoff onto Jesmet. It's taking a lot of damage, but with that extended range, the lingering apparition, he is going to be able to get himself back to very safe spot, as they do get a nice taunt down onto the Stitches, as he did get a hook onto him, but there's very little that Penta can do on this bottom side of the map. There's so much control coming out from Crimson on the bottom side, and they have to be very careful with how they play it. We've been seeing them get caught out time after time by Leica on this Garrosh. And as I mentioned, as we get later into this game, they have to be very careful. If one of those key targets get picked off again and they can't turn the fight around, have to be very, very worried with how these late game fights are going to go. Zakari does manage to get into that nice network just in time. Manages to get out of there and onto the other side of the map. This is going to allow Crimson to finish off this bell tower and just re-secure it, but likewise on the bottom side. We're essentially back to almost even pegging, but as we saw before, a lot of damage down onto that middle bell tower. Pretty much anything will finish that off, as we do get, yet again, the 2 altars on the bottom side of the map. The bell tower on the bottom is going to get cleaned up by Nomia, so they have a lot of extra room to work with, but here comes Leica on the Garrosh. They're going to flip him in, but they don't have that same follow-up damage. The Entomb does not manage to isolate Vanilla. They're not able to get him out of the fight, as Fat94 is here with the Void Prison. They are going to be able to lock down the Shadow on the Stukov. He's going to be the first one down in this fight, but they are going to be delayed a little bit with that flailing swipe, as the Void Prism is going to just completely isolate. In the end, it's going to be 1-for-1 support for main tank. And with the lack of durability now on the side of Nomia, they have to be very careful with how they play this. The Moonfires are going to be interrupting the point as, oh, a nice Twilight Dream does take out Garrosh, and now Altivian has to run. They have to be very careful. They're trying to take back this bell tower, but in the end, it's just cost them. John is going in, he's trying to take down Altivian. There's no more healing, and that is going to be yet another kill. The Altars are now going to be essentially game point here. This is going to be game, set, and match. That is it. And GG, well played. Nomia take the series 2-0.